What's up YouTube, it's TF Collector, and today I'll be reviewing the Transformers Studio Series 86 Leader Class Soundwave with BUZZSAW, LASERBEAK, and Ravage from the 86 movie. And before we take a look at the figure itself, we will first take a look at the packaging that he does come in. So on the front we have nice pictures of LASERBEAK, Soundwave, and Ravage. I'm not sure why BUZZSAW didn't make the cut, but Transformers Studio Series, Transformers the movie, Soundwave, there are your mini-cons, 28 steps. On this side you have a nice profile image of Soundwave. There's his name, Studio Series. On the other side you have more of that picture going on there. Autobot logo, Studio Series, Leader Class in all kinds of languages on the back of the packaging. As I rise up a little bit here, you can see you have a screen grab from the cartoon. He's ejecting Ravage, and my favorite part is they forgot to crop out where they paused the cartoon. That is hilarious. But over here, Transformers the movie, Soundwave, you have your bio. Soundwave sends his cassette troops on a spy mission. More product images, 28 steps, authentic. There are your mini cons in all their glory. Hasbro on the bottom, a barcode. On the top, Transformers the movie, Soundwave, and your mini cons. And one last thing before diving into the figure, he does of course include his instruction manual, 8 nups. There's Soundwave, Studio Series, Transformers the movie, Soundwave, mini cons. On the back, Takara and Hasbro. And moving to the figure itself, here is 86 Soundwave in all his glory, and this figure is awesome. One of my favorite 86 figures, going to be one of my favorite Studio Series figures just because of my love for G1 Soundwave. But coming close so you can see the details here in cassette mode, you have a nice purple Decepticon logo there with the yellow trim, translucent piece there. Over here, some nice silver going on, some nice silver buttons with your play button and your little fast forwards and whatnot, looking very nice. From the side, some more details going on each side. Now if you flip around to the back, you can see it is mostly just robot kibble hanging out, but it's not that bad. There's not a lot of ways to go about making a Transformer turn into a cassette, but one thing I have to note that I do really like is that you do have these two little pieces here. These are his accessories, and they've actually put them into the alt mode, incorporated them as batteries, and that is absolutely awesome. That is a feature that I love about this figure, and there's a lot more that I love about this figure. But as far as looks go, here in alt mode, Soundwave looks amazing. And as far as accessories go, we get a slew. So let's go ahead and start talking about those. First off, you get these two little backpacks that come packed in 3 pieces, and you combine them together. These are for BUZZSAW and LASERBEAK in their bird modes, but those are 2 accessories that you get. You also get this piece, which is basically Ravage's tail, and these 2 little missiles that are also 3 different pieces that you put together out of the box. But as you can see, looking pretty nice. We'll show you how all this connects to your mini cons later. The 2 accessories that are actually for Soundwave, once again, are incorporated into his alt mode. So other than that, we do have, of course, the cassette bots to talk about. First off, the OG LASERBEAK, the one everyone knows the most, here in his cassette mode. And as you can see, he does look very, very nice from this angle. Even on the back, it isn't bad. This is one of the better cassette modes I've seen from a mainline LASERBEAK. You have your little rotating pieces there and whatnot, but pretty good looking cassette there for LASERBEAK. You do also get BUZZSAW, which I'm surprised they included, but glad they did, because now we have all of the Soundwave mini-cons in Studio Series form, but same as LASERBEAK, just yellow instead of red. They're the same thing. And last but not least, we do, of course, get Ravage, who is the worst looking of the cassette bots. Still not terrible, though. You still have your little rotating pieces sculpted in there and whatnot. But yeah, he doesn't look as much like a cassette as the other 2 do. But that's all right for me. Now, as far as those 3 accessories in the back go, you can't use those until you get into bot modes for the mini-cons. But as far as the mini-cons themselves go, here in cassette form, we can, of course, use those with Soundwave. And to use our cassette bots with Soundwave, it's pretty simple. You just click that button there, open it up, and now you can insert your cassette bot. So you can throw Ravage in there, who is a little hard to fit in there snug, but there's Ravage. Ravage eject, and you can pull Ravage out of there. You can fit LASERBEAK in there, just slide him right down in, close it up. There's LASERBEAK, LASERBEAK eject. You can pull LASERBEAK out of there. Come on. get that out of there. And last but not least, of course, BUZZSAW, just like the other two, you know, BUZZSAW eject. And yes, if you want to bring in your other lovely Studio Series Soundwave cassettes, Rumble is blue, Frenzy, and Ratbat, they can all also fit in Soundwave. I'm not going to show off how all that works, but yes, they do all work. And for a few quick alt mode comparisons, first here is Soundwave with the Netflix version that came out a few years ago that I thought was going to be the last Soundwave we got for a while until we got this glorious piece. But as you can see the differences between the two. I'll give a quick turnaround here real quick. You can see the back pretty much forms the same, but from the front, this one looks much more accurate. Definitely prefer the new Studio Series version in alt mode. And here is Soundwave with Blaster from Studio Series. So you can see how he looks with another little cassette player. And for a little quick comparison with your mini cons, I've already brought them out, but might as well do it again. Here they are with the other three, with Rumble, Frenzy, and Ratbat. So there is a glorious shot of all of the Studio Series versions of Soundwave's 6 cassettes. And just for an older cassette comparison, here they are with Ravage and LASERBEAK from the Netflix series. Now, as far as LASERBEAK, BUZZSAW, and the old LASERBEAK go, definitely think the new ones look better. But when it comes to Ravage, I'll give it to the old version. I think that cassette looks way more convincing than that one. And I think that is about all there is to be said about the cassette player alt mode here for 86 Soundwave. Looks awesome. Maybe wish they could have done a little better back here with the arms and whatnot, but that can be expected with a cassette player. Soundwave, they're never going to get this perfect, but overall I think he does look great here in alt mode. So let's go ahead and transform him and see if the robot mode holds up to how awesome this alt mode is. So the first thing we want to do is come over here to the back, and we're going to take these panels and open them up like so. And then what we can do is go ahead and untab the arms from the body here like so. And then we can come in here and get our fingers on here and bring out his two little accessories. Whoops, as I open that, we don't want that open, but we can bring these out. We'll sit these off to the side for now. Those will be his robot mode accessories. Now we can really get started. So the first thing we want to do is just grab these side pieces here, untab them, and bring them down. These will of course form into his legs. He pretty much transforms like any Soundwave transforms. The side becomes the legs and the arms are tucked in the back. It can be expected, but the robot mode is going to look pretty awesome. I'm going to raise the camera up slightly. There we go, and we can continue. So what we will do is bring this panel up here, flip these two sections inward, bring that back down, and we will rotate 180 degrees at the waist, and we can go ahead and work on the legs. So the first thing we want to do is open this panel up, grab right here, and bring the foot out. I do find it easier if you kind of push in here and kind of get your nail up in there. There we go. Bring that foot down and then flip that panel up and rotate the foot 180 degrees. You then want to get your finger up in here and basically push this section here with the yellow outward. So just push on that and that will come out like so. And then we can close up both of these panels, rotate there at the thigh swivel, and that is how you want that leg looking. Same thing on the other side. Open this panel, play around, try to get that foot out of there, bring that panel up, rotate right there, close, actually skipping steps, how dare I, push this piece out, you know, big difference, ha, close that panel, rotate at the thigh, and there you have the lower body of Soundwave all done. I'm once again going to rise slightly, and we will finish up here on the upper body. So as you can see, tab, slot, tab it right in like so, same thing over here, tab it right in like so. For the hands, you're basically going to want English to get your nail up in there, pop that down, grab your hand, bring it out, close that back up till you hear it thoop. There it thooped, and we can bring that arm down. Same thing on the other side. Get your nail up in here, pop that open, get your hand out like so, pop that up, bring the arm down, and for some finishing touches, we will come back here, open this up, get his head out of there. Come on, like so. Bring it up, kind of hold it like this, until you hear that click into place. And then last but not least, we will take these two panels, flip them all the way in like so. And there you have the new 86 Soundwave, almost in robot mode. I never say Soundwave is officially in robot mode until you bring in this accessory that we detached with the missiles there. And this, of course, is his shoulder missile launcher, and you will just plug it in right there like so. And that is a beautiful G1 Soundwave in his robot mode. And while we are on the topic of transformation, we do, of course, need to transform our mini-cons. So we're going to start with LASERBEAK here. Just come back here, flip this little wing out. Do the same thing on this side. Flip the wing out. Take the feet, bring them down like so, and then rotate right there and bring the wings out to the side. And now for the hardest part, you want to pull the head upward, but I can never get my nail up in. Hey, I got it that time. That is usually way harder. Of course it wants to make me look like a liar, but bring the head forward like so. And that is kind of LASERBEAK, but not really. We need to complete the look. So bring in one of your little accessories here, and you can see two little places for those two tabs. Just tab that right on top. And there's LASERBEAK in all of his glory. We're going to go ahead and just run through BUZZSAW, the exact same as LASERBEAK. So just flip those out, feet down, bring the wings out, get your finger up in there. Let's see if BUZZSAW is also going to be easy. Hey, I love it when I video and they make me look like liars, but it's for the better. Here we bring in our backpack, of course, and we tab it on the same way as we did for LASERBEAK. And there are your two birds ready to go. And last but not least, of course, is Ravage. So come here, bring the two halves of his head together and tab those in like so. Then what you're going to want to do is go ahead and flip his little back legs out here like so. Bring these arms forward, rotate on this ball joint 180 degrees. Then you can take right here at this shoulder joint, and you're going to want to rotate that back on each side, and then you can bring the arms down, then come back here, bring these back legs down, and you do kind of want to give him an arch, which is a little awkward, but basically, as you can see, you kind of want to just give him a little bit of an arch for some reason. That's how they want you to do it, and you have that little slot right back there, as you can see, right above those legs, and you want to bring in your little tail accessory, and that tab right there will just go right back in there. So just tab that in like so, and there you have your mini cons in their bot modes. And now back to Soundwave. This figure is magnificent. Looks-wise, he is just spot on to what we see in the cartoon. I love this thing, but coming in close on the head sculpt, just so you can see how beautiful they did with this head sculpt. Absolutely gorgeous work with the blue crest there, the red eyes, and the mouth plate there. Very nice looking. A nice little rocket launcher there, painted nicely. The chest, the same as what we saw in alt mode. There we do have new buttons that don't say play and fast forward, just some silver molded buttons there. But coming down the leg, you can see some nice silver, good painting all around. Even the feet are painted in silver. The arms, your nice little red crisp line there. Overall, just a great looking figure. And when it comes to the backpack, it is just a little square, and that doesn't really bother me. What bothers me slightly more maybe is this little butt flap. I wish that could tuck away somehow. I guess you could lift it up like that, and that kind of looks cool until you look at it from the front, and then you're like, so I'm just gonna leave it down. Wish they could have done something a little more with that. But other than those little minor complaints, this guy looks awesome. And as far as his articulation goes, the head is on a ball joint, so you can look up slightly, down slightly. You do get not a lot of wiggle and waggling, but you can get a full 360 rotation there. You do get the arms rotating a full 360, moving in and out. You also can untab it here and get a very nice butterfly joint there. You get a nice rotation there at the bicep. Mine is quite snug. You get a double jointed elbow, but once again, quite snug on my copy, so I don't want to break anything, but You can see it's double jointed. It just doesn't want a double joint. But coming down the arm, the wrists can rotate, and you can also open the fingers. The waist can rotate as well. All of these hip skirts can all accommodate for the leg motion, so you can get forward that far, backward that far, outward the full splits plus some. You get thigh rotation, about 90 degrees of bend at the knee, and as far as the feet go, they can't really move up. They can not really move down. You can get them to move up more than you can get them. What? I just made them. Something happened. I have not been able to do that. I just moved his foot way up. I did not realize it did that. But hey, more articulation. Anyways, the foot can rotate, and it does have a nice deep ankle tilt. So overall, now that I've discovered that the foot can also move upward, that even brings his rating up higher. That is some great articulation. And if we want to bring in Soundwave's other blaster accessory, we can just pull this section out like so, and he can hold it. Now, you do have the option to store it back here, but me personally definitely going to have Soundwave holding his blaster there. And of course, his other accessories, we get Ravage, we get LASERBEAK, we get BUZZSAW, all three of which are compatible. You can still open this and put them in there and eject them. But, of course, if you've been collecting Studio Series, we also have Frenzy, we have Rumble, and we have Ratbat. So there is a beautiful family portrait of Soundwave and all of his mini-cons in their glorious Studio Series form. And speaking of the mini-cons, we would take a quick look at them individually in these bot modes. You can see LASERBEAK, very nice with the yellow eye there. Of course, the red Decepticon logos on each wing with some nice silver paint. Now, as far as articulation goes, you can move the head up and down. You can also get some boots and cats going. You can move the wing down. You cannot move the wing up as I pop his backpack off, but you do have the option to have the wing down like that. The legs can't really do anything. That's about all you get articulation wise with LASERBEAK. The articulation on BUZZSAW is exactly the same, but as far as the details go, pretty much also exactly the same, other than the fact that he is yellow and not red. Now, when it comes to Ravage, you have the red eye there. Now, I've seen some complaints about this Ravage, but specifically in bot mode, I think this is the best mainline mini-con Ravage we have. I think the Legacy version is very ugly compared to this. I don't know why this guy's getting a lot of flack. Maybe because he's not quite as nice as the two birds, but I still think he's way better than anything we've got recently for Ravage. But coming in close, you can see silver with the Decepticon logos, your two little missile pods here on the back done in silver. And as far as articulation goes for him, the arms here can move out. You can move the bottom foot there. You can move the back foot there. And you do have that ball joint in the middle, so you can kind of get some hump action going on. I'm not sure why that's there, but it's a thing you can do. And that is about it for your details and articulations for your mini-cons. Hi, it's me from the future, and one other point of articulation Ravage has is you can hold this piece and move his tail up and down. Yay! And now for some bot mode comparisons. First with Soundwave. Here he is with the Netflix version, and yeah, I mean, I loved this figure and still do when it first came out. It has its own style, but this is just spot on, and this will certainly be my main Soundwave going forward. Still have a soft spot for this guy, but this is beautiful. Here he is with his cassette foe in Blaster, so you can see how those two look together. Here he is with 86 Commander Optimus Prime, so you can see how he looks with the leader of the Autobots. Here he is with 86 Coronation Starscream, so you can see how he looks with our current Starscream. We will be getting a new one next year, I believe, that looks much better going off of what the Thundercracker looks like. But for now, there he is with our current Starscream. I don't have a G1 Shockwave. Hopefully Studio Series will give us that soon, so we can't put the trio all together. But here he is with 86 Megatron, and that there is just absolutely gorgeous. I love the way 86 has done these characters. but here he is with the other Soundwave, one of the other Soundwaves. I'm not getting that Revenge of the Fallen thing off the shelf, but here he is with the Dark of the Moon Studio Series Soundwave. So you can see how he looks with a different iteration of himself. And last but not least, it's not going to fit in the frame, but here he is with Studio Series Devastator. And you can see he comes up to about halfway up his crotch. Yay! And for our non-figure comparison, here he is with a CG image of how he appeared in the G1 cartoon and the 86 movie, so you can see just how gorgeous and perfect they made this figure. This is phenomenal. And for some mini-con comparisons, first we'll just bring the group back in so we can get the group shot once again just with the mini-cons. There are Ratbat, Frenzy, and Rumble. There's your group shot. Here they are with Blaster's minicons, Steeljaw, Ramhorn, and Eject, so you can see how all of the minicons are shaping to look. Hasbro, please do not make me buy a random repaint of Blaster to get Rewind. Please give us Rewind in Studio Series. Please. And for our last figure comparison, here they are with LASERBEAK and Ravage from the Netflix series, and I think Studio Series did a way better job. These are much better, yes, including Ravage. That is way better than whatever that is. That's better. Stop complaining. That's better. And for a few non-figure comparisons, first here's LASERBEAK with how he appeared in the G1 cartoon, so you can see how they did with LASERBEAK. Here is BUZZSAW with how he appeared in the G1 cartoon, so you can see how they did with BUZZSAW. And lastly, here is Ravage with how he appeared in the G1 cartoon, so you can see how they did with Ravage. So this has been my review for the Transformers Studio Series 86 Leader Class Soundwave with BUZZSAW, LASERBEAK, and Ravage. And I have almost no notes, and the few notes that I do have are minor nitpicks. This guy, as you can see, is beautiful. The paintwork is beautiful. Articulation is great. Transformation is fun to go back and forth in between. Both modes look awesome. The cassettes are awesome. Other than Ravage's alt mode, which is one of my little minor complaints, Ravage as a cassette doesn't look very convincing. The other two look pretty good, but Ravage could have used some work in his cassette mode. Other than that, some other little nitpicks, that butt flap there on the back. Wish they could have done something a little more with that. But aside from that, this figure is nearly perfect. I love this figure. I certainly recommend it. He is awesome. Even though leaders are being up to $60, I would still recommend this figure. I know $60 is a very hefty price, but what you're getting is a beautiful Soundwave and 3 awesome cassettes. And if you already have Frenzy, Rumble, and Ratbat, you will have the full family, and it will look awesome on your shelf. Trust me, I'm speaking from experience. He looks great with the other Studio Series 86 figures. That being said, if I had to rate this Soundwave on a scale from 1 to 10, he's getting a very solid 9 out of 10. He is nearly perfect with those minor little complaints that I said, and that little 9.5, that 0.5 reduction, part of that goes to Ravage's alt mode, which isn't even a part of the actual Soundwave figure. So I'm out here rating accessories along with the figure because the accessories we get are awesome little mini characters. But that's about all I have to say for Soundwave. Certainly getting a recommendation from me. If you can find this guy in a store, online, especially if you can find him for any percentage of a sale, pick him up because he is truly awesome and you want this figure in your collection. So that is my review for the 86 liter Soundwave with mini cassette bots. And yeah, get this figure, pick him up. You need this figure in your collection. That being said, more reviews to come soon. We have a Lego Soundwave. We have more Studio Series figures. We have more Age of the Primes. Look forward to all of those reviews. And with that being said, never forget, don't sacrifice the things you love for the approval of others. I will see you all very soon with those other reviews. And until then, roll out. Get yourself an 86 Soundwave. He's awesome. Peace.